Hey friends, what's up? Ash here. Welcome back to Extra Gents. Hope that you're having an awesome day. Today I'm doing a glorified first impression. I've had this fragrance in for a few days. I've worn it a few times, but not enough that I'd say this is like a real full-blown review. So glorified first impressions is what it is. And the fragrance is Ambre Chromatique from Maison Crivelli. An extrait de parfum 50 ml size right here, which does look very petite compared to my bottle of Santal Volcanique over here. In today's video, I'll show you guys the presentation up close. I'll break down the fragrance a little bit, let you know how it smells, and let you know whether I like it or not. So let's jump into it. So this one was sent to me by twistedlily.com. Shout out to Twisted Lily. A link in the description to their website and this fragrance as well. So yeah, shout out to Twisted Lily. Thanks for the hookup. Let's go ahead and take a look at the presentation. So here you got the box. There's a slip cover that is over the box. It has the name of the fragrance, name of the house, the size and concentration, 50 ml extrait de parfum. Up top, you have the logo. On the back, you have a little info on the fragrance. It says Rainbow Jungle, a spicy trek, vanilla vines, cut multicolored bark, a golden resin, pointed flowers, a Divana pigment, sun-like feathers, an Akigala leaf, and amber colorama. Then on the bottom, you have your badge code and your barcode. Badge code is LKB2. So you take the slipcover off, and then you have this nice box that has on the top the logo of the house once again. It opens up, and you have a little card inside. Perfume is a living experience. Then you have a cutout where the bottle sits inside of. So a lot of little pieces here to the box, but it looks good. And here you got the bottle. I like the coloration to it. That ambery orange color really sets it off, makes it pop. You have the name of the house, name of the fragrance, and the concentration on the sticker there on the front. On top of the cap, you have that logo, Maison Crivelli. And then on the bottom, you have a sticker. The batch code is etched into the glass at the bottom of the back of the bottle, and the cap does click into place. Let's go ahead and grab a tester strip, and I'll show you how the atomizer works. Atomizer here is really good. It's very strong, shoots out a big blast of fragrance, so no complaints at all about the presentation here. Bottle looks good, box looks good, everything's sturdy, it looks quality. So the only other fragrance I own from the house is Santal Volcanique that I brought up at the beginning of the video when I compared the bottle sizes. This one I really like because it reminds me of some discontinued fragrances that I really enjoy. Stuff like Gucci Envy, even Dolce & Gabbana by Man, which is very difficult to find. That one makes me think of those fragrances a little bit. It's in that style, so I really dig that one. This is something altogether different, a completely different style of scent. So when you first spray this on, the first thing that you'll notice is it's strong. It is real strong. Now it's an extrait de parfum, so you expect that, but this has a serious push to it. It projects heavily. It lasts a long time, like forever. You spray it on clothes, good luck getting that out, you know? It's a beast. It's an absolute beast of a fragrance. Past that though, because that's not really the smell, that's just something you recognize immediately, like, oh, yeah, okay, this is like an extrait de parfum. Okay, I get it. Because sometimes something might say it's a parfum or an extrait, and then you spray it on and it doesn't really push out like you'd expect. This one does. But when you do first spray it on, you're gonna get hit with a little bit of a fruity sweetness. I don't think it actually has fruit as an official note here, but I definitely pick up a fruit-like sweetness, kind of like a deep, not really necessarily dark, but semi-syrupy, fruity sweetness. Smells really pleasant. And that sits underneath a much more prominent kind of smoky, ambery scent profile. The amber is not as warm and soft as you might expect. It's very benzoin forward amber. It does have vanillic sort of tendencies to it, a little bit of that sweetness that you would expect. But it's much more bold instead of just being this like paint by numbers kind of labdanum amber that just sits there like a syrupy, soft goo ball. But you know what I'm saying? Like those fragrances where they're amber fragrances and ultimately you get vanilla, and like a little warmth and maybe a touch of like warm spice. This one instead, as I said, much more bold, much more daring for an amber fragrance. It does still have wearability. It's something you can easily pull off, but especially in the opening with that incense popping and that benzoin right up in your face, it is slightly more daring than I would say the majority of amber fragrances that are really just centered around being an amber fragrance. Because amber, of course, is used in God knows how many fragrances as a base note, but it's not always like the focal point of the fragrance. So the opening I love, especially the first, call it 5 to 10 minutes, where I can pick up that bit of fruitiness. It smells awesome. That fruit does die away pretty quickly though, and that's unfortunate. I wish it did stick around a little bit longer. Maybe that's why it's not an official note, because it is a little bit fleeting. And especially with a fragrance like this that lasts forever and projects monstrously, something that's only there for 5 or 10 minutes, you know, it's not really doing a whole lot over the lifespan of the fragrance. So I guess why mention it, I guess. The fragrance definitely has a balsamic feel to it. Pretty much as soon as that fruitiness starts to die away, that balsamic undertone comes through more clearly. As it heads through the mid, you get a faint hit of Divana. That's one of the mid notes, but it's not anywhere near as prominent as the incense, the benzoin, the amber, and the bit of vanilla as the fragrance dries down. It gives a slight bitter feeling, but it's more of a nuance. So it's not really something that's gonna come through all that strongly. It really can't compete against the other notes that are in here that are taking center stage. There's a spiciness to the fragrance, pretty much from the opening through the mid and as you head into the dry down, and it's peppery. It just comes across quite peppery. That kind of settles in behind the incense, behind the amber a little bit, but it does give you like a little hint, like it tickles your nose a little bit at times. And as it dries down, you really focus in on the benzoin, the amber, and that bit of vanilla undertone. And the pepper, as you hit the dry down, that kind of fades away. As I said before, the fragrance is really strong. It's a little bit bold. It's a little more daring than some of the other amber fragrances out there, but it's not overtly aggressive. So as long as you don't go crazy with the trigger, this is the type of fragrance that settles in the air and smells really, really nice. If you go too heavy, you're up close with people mingling and stuff. At that point, it could be a little overwhelming. So this is one I would keep in mind how many sprays you're doing and where you're going. Worn correctly, this is the type of fragrance that will just wow people. But if you go, really overboard with the trigger, it's the type of fragrance that maybe some people could catch too much of it and go, oh, God, man, you're going to give me a headache. And another thing I love about this is it's quite unique. Like, I can't think of another thing that I own that smells like this. Not even really something that's close enough where I'd say, this is an alternative to this or vice versa. Nah, like this is its own thing. It's its own unique amber fragrance. And when you're talking amber fragrances and how many of those are out there, whether they're named amber something in the name or just feature a prominent amber, that's really saying something. For me, the fragrance is unisex. I don't really think it leans one way or the other. I know some people have said that it leans a little bit feminine, but I think it's just straight up unisex. In terms of seasons, fall and winter, absolutely. I would not wear this in spring or summer. Daytime or nighttime use, I think either one. Maybe it leans a little more toward nighttime use, but really either one. It's a really lovely fragrance. The opening and the mid are a little more challenging than the dry down. The dry down is just a really beautiful benzoin and vanilla type of fragrance with remnants of the opening and mid still, trickling through. The open and the mid where you have more of that incense, more of the pepper, you have that little bit of fruitiness, that sweetness, that is probably a little more divisive than the dry down. The first time I smelled it, I was like, ooh, that's pungent. That's got a wallop to it. But then when I wore it a couple more times, I kind of knew what to expect, and really nice. So there we go, Ambre Chromatique. I think this stuff smells fantastic. This is a really great top-notch amber fragrance that has a bit of a twist, different than the other ambers that I own, and absolutely worth checking out if you are a fan of amber fragrances, because this is one of the better ones. So there we go, guys. Glorified first impressions again. I've only been able to wear this a few times, but as of right now, really digging it. Think it looks great, smells great. Nothing to hate about this. If you smell that one, let me know what you think about it. Thank you for hanging with me here. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you again another day with another video. See you guys. I should never shoot videos when I'm hungry.